Why didn't anybody tell me how awesome the IndyCar race was? Just finished watching it here on Monday evening. So let's take a look at that and MotoGP this weekend in the True Race Report. So first things up, the IndyCar race at Barber Motorsports Park. It was definitely it was a thriller all the way through. It was definitely some early on Jackassory, followed by some ending Jackassory, followed by, or not followed, but in the middle of some great racing, good strategy calls, and just some good real hooking and jabbing. So I was definitely very glad to see that after the more or less dull Long Beach Grand Prix. But nevertheless, let's take a look at some of these clips of the complete Jackassory in the start with Mr. Munoz. Like a true iRacing rookie, he gets right into the back of Aloshin. And Aloshin ends up getting into Hawksworth. Unfortunate for those two drivers, especially because they had to go to the back of the pack with Munoz. And start from the back. Unfortunate for those two guys from the absolute rookie mistake from Mr. Munoz. I think that's his name. But that was the start. So they did a couple extra pace laps there in the beginning. So after the race got underway, after 2 laps of green flag racing, going into turn 4, or is it turn 3? I don't know if they count that little kink as a turn, or turn 4 or 5. Bourdais got into the back of Dixon. Bourdais was on the harder tires, so he definitely missed his braking point, definitely on him. He tried to avoid everybody, but he got into the back of Dixon. Now, the next part is where I see a little bit of complete Jackassory and another absolute rookie maneuver out of Scott. As you can see here, after he gets spun around, he doesn't put his foot on the brakes, and he allows his car to roll in a complete perpendicular angle to the track to get in as many people's way as possible. I'm surprised. It was really good driving on everybody else. Really surprised nobody else got into him, and that's it's a good thing. But for him to do that and get in everybody's way and not just get on the brakes early on and be parallel to the track and allow people to pass easily and then get on his way, I'm not sure what he was thinking there. Maybe he thought he had enough momentum to swing it, to whip it back around, but still, he got very lucky there, and I thought that was a very stupid and rookie mistake out of one of the veterans in the series, Mr. Scott Dixon. So after Scott Dixon's Jackassory, there was about a good 75 laps or so of just solid racing, good wheel-to-wheel action, good strategy calls here and there. Then after the last round of pit stops, with about 15 laps to go, it really started heating up. Graham Rahal was definitely running down Piono, who was leading. Rahal had a little bit of a damaged front wing, but he had a lot more of the push to passes left. But Piono kept getting held up by lap traffic, because in IndyCar, you don't have to let the leaders pass unless you're a lap down. So if you're on the same lap, but you're at the tail end of the field, you don't have to let the leader pass. And because of that, Piono was getting slowed up a lot and allowing Graham to catch up to him. Graham ends up catching up to him, and then they have, and then Graham goes for a pass right into the waterfall, and they made contact. So let's look at this a little bit closer and kind of analyze what happened. For me, it looks like Pagano, he makes more than one move. He's driving in the middle of the track, which is fine, but as you can see here, if you guide it by the black line, he goes to the outside and then comes back to the inside. That's 2 moves there. It's a little sketchy, but they didn't make contact from that. Graham Rahal still got up the inside of him, and then Graham had he had a good wing on him, but they made contact at the apex. I think Pagano was thinking Graham Rahal was going to back out of it, but he did not, and he tried cutting his nose off. When you're playing with fire, sometimes you're going to get burned a little bit, and this time, they made contact, no harm, no foul, really. Graham Rahal just damaged the other side of his wing and kind of more or less made it balanced, and he took the lead. The stewards gave a no-fault, no-penalty clause, and I think they made the proper decision there. It was just good, solid racing. It wasn't like Rahal would just completely miss the corner. He was definitely going to be at the apex no matter what. I think just Pagano was just playing with fire, trying to cut his nose off, and got bit for a little bit. But it definitely made Rahal even a little bit slower, having a even worse off front wing. So it definitely led to a good solid 8 more laps to go in the race. I think it was like 8 to 10 or something like that. And then that's kind of when things started going a little crazy and almost ended horribly. Like I said earlier, if you're not lap traffic, you are allowed to defend to stay on the lead lap. It's got its benefits and its downgrades. As you can see, they were coming out of turn 4 or 5. Still don't really know what turn this is, but coming out of the hairpin, they were both on the back of them. Pagano was going for a pass on Ray Hall, and then there was the more or less going to be lap traffic right in front of them, both in their way. He pulls off to the outside of the next corner, and he lets off the gas to try and let the leaders pass, which is kind of what he should have done, but it threw Graham Ray Hall off a bit, and he had to jump out, and he ended up hitting the lap traffic. So very unfortunate. He really finalized his front wing. His front wing just took a beating this race. Luckily, it stayed on, and he was able to finish in second place. But he almost took out Pagano in that process, and they would have ended very badly for all of them. Montoya would have ended up with a podium, and he started way in the back. But that's a whole other story. He had a great race, but it just leads to, like, what do you think? Do you think the lead lap driver should be able to fight to stay on the lead lap, or do you think they should succumb to the leaders no matter what? For me, I think I like the fact that they can try and stay on the lead lap, and they should have the right to fight for it. But I think there has to be some sort of precedence in the sense, like maybe 10 laps to go, or maybe after your last pit stop, to let the leaders race and not get in their way, and let it just kind of be some good pure racing. Because either way, it was going to end really well. I mean, it was going to be a great battle up to the finish, but having it integrated with lap traffic and something that wasn't really pure, it kind of it's just a little frustrating. It's something I would have rather not seen. I would have rather them had a true battle on the track without any lap traffic. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think they should just always be able to fight for lead lap, or do you think there should be some sort of precedence, like I said? But nevertheless, I think it was definitely a great race overall. As you can see here, he was they left his debris completely in the middle of the track, which I was really surprised, actually. I thought they were going to throw a caution for it, especially with what happened last year with debris and just general caution, happy racing. But I'm glad they didn't, and they finished on green flag. It was definitely cool to watch Graham trying to finish the race, and although he was like 4 or 5 seconds off pace, and they had Will Power and Newgarden chasing him down. But overall, great race, and I was definitely stoked to watch it. I mean, I'm coming at you guys late here because it was I didn't get to see it until today, but it was definitely a great race, and I'm definitely seemingly rambling a bit here. Nevertheless, let's jump into the MotoGP side of things. They were at Jerez, not Jerez, which I found out the hard way. Sorry, not much of a Spanish guy. It was at Jerez. It was a good race overall. Nothing too crazy. Definitely the beginning was a lot of good hooking and jabbing. So on and so forth. Rossi won this one. It was definitely good to see the old-timer, 37 years old, still winning races in the premier class of MotoGP. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully we can see him maybe bring home another championship, but we'll see. Between him and Marquez and the rest of the bunch, it's going to be definitely a tight championship in the MotoGP arena. But nevertheless, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of the True Racer Report. If you guys enjoyed it, definitely smash the like button. And let me know what you guys think about the Alabama race and what you think about it. Because there was definitely a lot of key aspects to this race that could have unfolded a little bit differently and changed a whole lot of things. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. Next week, we have... What do we have? Let me check the calendar of motorsports here. F1 is heading to Russia. And that looks to be about it. Coming up, maybe we have a big month. MotoGP, the biggest thing, Indycar, and Monaco at the end of the month. But nevertheless, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, stay true and race on.